We hear a lot of perspectives on the Mankind podcast. Inclusion of a guest is not an endorsement of their views, and the opinions expressed here do not always represent the mission or values of the Mankind Project USA.
We are live. G'day and welcome to this, the Mankind Podcast, the show where we break the molds of modern manhood to prove there is in fact more than one way to be a man. And today's guest is an incredible example of grit, of excellence and determination. Dr. Marie-Ange Itagnu immigrated from humble roots in Cameroon to the US at just 18 years old, working blue-collar jobs while excelling in school, and became the first African woman to earn a PhD in electrical engineering and computer science from UC Berkeley. She's since held leadership roles at Meta, Amazon, Roku, and Intel, and now shares her journey in her powerful memoir, For Such a Time as This, From Humble Roots in Africa to Silicon Valley Leadership. I have it in my hands as we speak. Now, her story is not just about personal success, but about representation, the importance of having solid male role models in your lives, resilience, and staying grounded while raising her children. Marie-Ange, welcome to the show. It is an honor to have you here.
Well, thank you so much, Brandon, for inviting me to your show. It's such an honor and a privilege, and I'm really humble to be here and speak to men. Thank you so much.
Yes. Well, it's the pleasure is all mine. And for context, we were connected through my work, which is phenomenal. Yeah. Marie-Ange is part of one of my groups here at Sidebar, and just hearing her story. I mean, from the moment I met you, you just emanated this energy, this positivity, and you just light up the room, every room that you're in. And I just thought, man, I got to tell you a story. I have to have you on the show to tell the story. It's just so powerful. And not just your story, but also how I and other male listeners can recognize how we can better show up for the women in our lives who are working to achieve remarkable things, that they have those goals, and how we can recognize the ways that we can support and sponsor women in their journey, and recognize the ways that we get in the way and how we make it harder and even more difficult for women. But before we dive into that, set the scene for me. How was it growing up in Cameroon as a young girl? I know you were raised by a single mom.
Yes.
Your dad wasn't on the scene. You had your sister as well.
Yes.
Set the scene for us. What was early life like for you?
Yeah, so I was raised in Cameroon, Central Africa. For those who don't know, Cameroon is right in the central coast of Africa next to Nigeria. Nigeria is the big country next to us. Cameroon is a bilingual country, French and English. I was raised in the French part of the country, so my first language is actually French. That's where my name Marie-Ange comes from. My parents divorced when I was a kid. I was about 5 years old when my parents divorced, and when the court gave custody of the children, me and my sister, my older sister is 2 years older than me, and the court gave custody to my mom, which was unheard of at that time in Cameroon, because the male had more power. It was a patriarchal country where male get more, they are more connected to the legal system, and they will usually get the custody. But my mom got the custody. So we were raised by a single mom. She was a medical doctor. I would say by the standard of the Cameroonian culture at the time, she was middle class. I cannot say I was really like a really poor kid. My mom had a job, but she was working as a single mother, trying to feed and raise two children, two girls. She was working in the evening in emergency room. I still remember I have some scene in my memoir where she didn't have any nanny, anybody around to take care of us. She would take us to the emergency room, and we would fall asleep, maybe waiting for her in the waiting room. And I would remember people calling her name and, doctor, we need this, doctor, we need this. And we're just watching that as little girls, like 6 years old, 7 years old, and watching your mom working so hard. Cameroon, I can talk about the culture. It's a very vibrant, rich culture in terms of the music, the food, the oral is oral. The culture is passed down through oral expression, where you have the elderly sitting down with the younger kids and telling them about what happened in the past. We love music. We love different type of food. A lot of local vegetable that American will not identify, but a lot of vegetable. It's a rich land in terms of agriculture. So I was raised in that kind of rich cultural background. Cameroon has more than 200 dialects. That's another fact. Dialect are different. People speak different language, dialect, right? The two main languages are English and French. We were colonized by France and England, but people at home would speak dialect. So my mom was from one part of the country. She had a dialect called Ewondo, and my dad was from another part of the country, a dialect Douala. So the parent actually speak the dialect to the kids. So when you grow up, you speak your dialect at home. I didn't actually spoke my dialect. My dad and my mom, since they were different dialect and they divorced very young. But that's usually kids would speak dialect at home. So very rich cultural environment, and family is everything. A community culture where your auntie is like your mom. If your mom is not there, your auntie will she can punish you. She can say you are not doing the right thing, and she's just like your mom. And you call her even mom. You call her mom. The neighbor, the elderly, the neighbor can discipline the kids. It's like very community that you help each other to raise a child. We say we are raised by the village, right?
By the village.
Kid is raised by the village.
Yeah,
that type of culture. Respect is very key. You don't call an elderly by like Brandon. You don't say that if I'm older. I would say Uncle Brandon or Auntie Marie-Ange. So you will see my nephew, people who I'm older than them, they will call me auntie. So respect is a big one. So that was some cultural difference that I share in my book when I came to the US. Even your teacher, you don't call him like Joe, Daniel, right? You call him Mr. Joe, Mr. Samson, right? So there's always that. And actually, when I raise my kid, I call Mr. Mrs. I still have that mindset. Even in the US, where everybody call by the first name. So these are some of the like cultural difference that I can call out. Of course, being raised by a single mom is some of the set of challenge. I didn't have a father role model in my life. All I knew was a mother who worked day and night to provide for me. She saved 10 years. I put that in my book, more than 10 years for me to be in America for one semester because of the currency difference. She saved, I put 9 million safer. That's the local currency. It was just $15,000 US. You just survived one semester in the US. So these are some of the stuff I'm calling out in my book. But yeah, as a kid, one thing that I can add also to that question, I was really curious. I was a kid in my family who always asked question why of everything. Why is the sky blue? Why is the mango like Newton? Why is the mango falling down? Why it's not going up? I always had the question that nobody else there asking, which made me different from other kids growing up. That people were asking me, why are you asking so many questions, right? I was very curious. I was also very passionate about science very early, where I love math, I love physics, I love chemistry, and my quiet time, my time where I was supposed to play outside like other kids, I was doing mathematics problem, and I was very perfectionist. I really wanted to have A. It's just who I am as a kid. I always wanted to have A. I had a perfectionist mindset, so I still have it today. It comes from growing up. I cannot say it's all the kids. I think I was unique about that growing up in Africa. Yeah.
Sure. And you had a strong role model as well of,
yes,
in your mother, who was doing everything possible to provide as much as possible for you, given the circumstances as a single mum.
Yes.
And so she worked for 10 years to get you to Virginia and to get your sister to Germany. So your respective journeys.
Yes.
And in the book, you talk about praying with tears in your eyes when you get to Virginia, just unsure how you're going to survive when you get there. Because not only do you have the immense pressure of performing in your studies, but you're having to work a lot, multiple jobs just to pay your rent, to make it through your studies. And so looking back, what is it that you believe gave you the strength that you needed to push through those moments?
Oh my goodness, that's a very loaded question. I love the question. I would touch on that question, but I want to share one scene on my book, my scene of getting my visa to come to the US. I think many people don't realize, especially if you were raised and born in America, you have the blue passport. The blue passport, I tell my kid, this is a US passport. That is like an open door to many places all over the world where you don't need a visa. In most of the country, especially developing country, you need to go to the US embassy to get a visa. And that process is very daunting, very daunting. So I got admitted to a school, but now I have to get a visa to come to America. Most people, they don't get a visa. You get rejected, especially student, because they think that you're going to come to America to stay. I mean, which makes sense, right? They think that they want, if you're an international student, if you're non-immigrant, the visa is to come and study and eventually go back to your country. So when I go to the embassy the day of my visa appointment, you have to make an appointment. I sit here. I had all the documentation, my SAT, my TOEFL, test of English as a foreign language, my transcript. I was an A+ student. The bank statement of my mom that she can support me my first semester, and then there's one document that they ask, prove me that you can come back. You will come back to your country after your studies. There's really no document, right? It's a psychology test. There's no document that will show that you prove. It's just your word. I want to come and develop my country. I want to make a difference and all that. So I am sitting there and I see all the teenagers, students coming out of the consul office crying. Their visa got rejected. And when they asked the question, it's because of the question. They couldn't prove that they will come back to Cameroon, and there's no really proof. So I'm really scared. I've prayed in the morning. I say, God, please, I need a visa. And I go to the office of the consul and I give her all the documents. She starts asking me question, basic question. What is your name? What are you going to do in the US? And who is going to pay your study? And then she stared at my transcript, my hard work when I was in high school, middle school, and I was an A+ student all the time. And she's like, Mrs. Ayum, I'm going to give you the visa. You are a brilliant mind. America will love you for your intellect. And she was talking to me from her heart. America will love you for your intellect. Imagine I'm 18 years old. I don't know the US. I have no idea. I don't care if you ever come back to Cameroon, but I will encourage you to never forget your motherland. It's still emotional for me. I remember the word. This nation needs bright minds like you to develop. But I'm going to give you the visa. And I'm here sobbing and like I'm so shaking. I have no idea what is America. Somebody here saw a young girl, 18, 19, tell me you are bright. America will love you, but never forget where you are coming from. So that scene in the book is actually one of the motivation I wrote my memoir. I'm thinking about a young boy, a young girl who is standing in that door like me when I was 18, 19, and I'm speaking to you that the sky is the limit. You can do whatever, because I didn't know that. I didn't know America. I didn't have any clue, but she saw something in me at that moment that you're going to make a difference, but never come. And I want to tell you, I'm here to give you the baton and to tell you can achieve your dream. So that's a scene that, coming to Virginia. Now I'm going to talk about coming to Virginia. I remember those words. America will love you for your intellect, but never forget where you are coming from. So yeah, my undergrad was really hard, like you mentioned, in terms, especially financially. Financially, it was really tough. If you have kids in college, you know the cost. You know the cost of what it takes to do university in America. My $15,000 were barely enough for a semester. And I knew my mom gave everything. So I couldn't expect anything from Cameroon anymore, right? So I had to get a job. I really had to get a job. And what job can you get at 19, at that age? I did a lot of application on campus, library, a lot of, stuff that you could do on campus. It was rejection after rejection. They didn't have a lot of job in my campus for international students. So I went outside of the campus, applied to anything. And the thing I could find was working in Hardee's, a fast food restaurant in Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Tough job, as a blue collar. Started from the bottom. I was cleaning the bathroom, wiping the table, and got into the cashier. And I shared some experience just making mistake. I didn't know what was a pickle. There's a story about the pickle incident. I told it to my kid that I didn't know what was a pickle. When a customer come and say, I want a burger with no pickle, I'm like, what is a pickle? I mean, they train me, but there are so many details that you have to, you get it with a job. Yeah. And I just made a bad mistake. I put the pickle in the cashier. I didn't know how to remove it. And the customer was so mad at me and just yelled at the boss. And the boss gave me a big warning. If you do it again next time, I'm gonna lay you off and kick you out. So, a lot of humbling experience working, as a blue collar. Now I really appreciate when I go to a fast food or any block collar job because I was there. I was there. I know the drill. I used to open sometime the fast food and close at 10, 11 p.m. and then walk to my campus, take the bus, the public transportation. I didn't have a car, and study the whole night to be able to make it to school. I was taking 26 units, which is unheard of because I was trying to finish as soon as possible. Normally, you take 18 units for context, 16 to 18 units credit for one semester. I take 26. I had to get a special authorization from my Dean of Academic Affairs. I beg him, I say, sir, please, I cannot afford this tuition anymore. I'm trying to finish as soon as possible. So he made an exception that I will see how you do the first semester I give it. If your grade drop, we stop this, right? So after he did it the second semester, I got 4.0 GPA. I was just studying. I didn't have a life. It was just working in the evening, doing my homework when I finish work, coming to school the rest of the day, do the same thing day after day. I was not even thinking. Like at that moment, you don't have any choice. People ask me I was not thinking. I mean, you just have to get through this. And I was able to graduate in 2.5 years with a 4.0 GPA.
Man. So you talked about how that woman at the embassy shared with you, like those words really spoke to you, like your heart and your identity. So throughout that journey, I mean, 2.5 years, you are doing 26 units a semester, working jobs, studying through the night. How did, and maybe it's how does your identity as an African woman and a daughter and an immigrant shape how you approach those challenges in life?
That experience taught me resilience. It really taught me resilience. It taught me grit, determination that, yes, I will have challenge. There were big challenge, financial challenge, right? That was, how am I going to pay tuition? But just applying resilience, not giving up. That's a big one that I learned. Determination, like as you are determined and you put the effort into that. So I applied, like I mentioned, to many jobs. Eventually, I didn't give up and I was able to get a breakthrough somewhere. I was humble enough when that experience of pickle came. So I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry. I'm going to do my best next time. Humility, not try to, justify yourself, just humble yourself. It taught me, that I can do anything. That's the way I'm teaching my kids now, that if you put the work in this, if you learn from your mistake, you keep on going. And eventually, I didn't even mention that one of my faculty member, I called him actually when I was writing the book, Dr. Anthony Badmadu, to say thank you. And I did that a lot of time before that. He saw the determination of I got a scholarship for the last 1 year I had 4.0 GPA. And even with my fast food job, he couldn't pay the tuition. So the fast food job only helped for the living expenses and probably food. I couldn't pay the tuition with the rest. So he saw the determination as, are we going to let this international student drop because she doesn't have the money? So he was able to make an exception. He had fund, remaining fund from Minority Access to Research Career, which was a fund by National Science Foundation. So normally I was not eligible. It was only if you are a US citizen or permanent resident. He made an exception to give me the rest of the money from that year so that I can finish to pay my tuition. He only paid the tuition part to finish it. So resilience, pay, determination, excellence. These are stuff that I believe has shaped my identity even as now I am done with that stage of my life. I'm working in corporate America and in leadership position. Yeah.
So it sounds like you weren't awarded the scholarship because of your identity or your circumstances so much as they saw the work that you were putting in.
You got it, Brandon. You got it. I mean, he was looking at me like, Marie-Ange, we cannot let you drop. You are the best student in this school. You represent the school. I was the valedictorian. We cannot let you just fly out because you don't have the money, because that was what was happening. Actually, I didn't have the money to pay for the next two. It was 15, another 15,000, another 50. The fast food couldn't pay for that. The fast food was making barely $5 per hour, minimum wage, less than even that. It was not paying for that. So yes, I got the scholarship because of my hard work. Yeah.
So you've got the hard work, and I mean, the story doesn't hurt, right? From where you've come from and the work that you're putting in. You shared with me how you've often been the only at the table, the only woman, the only minority, the only African. How have you navigated perhaps imposter syndrome as it's kicked in? And how have you found belonging in spaces where you haven't seen yourself reflected?
Thank you for the question. Thank you for the question. I'm getting a lot of those questions from now emerging leader, people who are coming after me and asking Marie-Ange, how are you doing that to be for so many years the only one at the table? The best way I can answer that question is that imposter syndrome never left me. It never left. Even right now, I still feel it. But with, again, hard work, determination, grit, believing that you can do it. My faith also, I'm a Christian. I'm fairly believe my faith in Christ that if God placed me at this table, I have something to contribute. So let me not shrink myself. Let me make sure my voice is being heard in a polite way, in a kind way, of course, respectful way. But I am here because I deserve to be here, because I put the work. So I keep on playing that tape in my head that, yes, you might be the only one at the table. Yes, you might not have all the benefit or the advantage that other people had to get to the table, but with hard work, you've shown that you can put the work, and you've done it at Virginia Union University, right? Taking 26 units, working in the evening. I've done it at Berkeley when I was accepted at Berkeley. Berkeley was hard. We haven't talked about Berkeley. It was super hard. It was super hard. But I was just living in my lab, asking help to professor, putting together study group with the best of the best coming from all over the world. And I was able to survive. So I've shown that I can put the work. I can ask for help. I'm determined enough. I will fail. I will fail. Failure is part. If you want to be great, you're going to fail. I tell that my kids, and I tell that to the people I mentor today. Failure is part of the journey. Those who never fail are those who never try. So if you try something hard, you're going to fail. But never stop there. Don't blame other people. Don't stay on the ground. Learn the lesson. I'm trying to learn the lesson and stand up and continue to run the race. So that has helped me to combat that imposter syndrome. So I have a lot of story now in my journey, right? Coming from Cameroon, Central Africa, being in Virginia Union, the cultural shock, the financial difficulty, going through UC Berkeley, where I was the only female, the only Black, the only African in my program, and using those tools. So when now in corporate America, I'm still faced like in being in a boardroom, in a decision room, being the only one. I start to remember, Marie, you've been through this before. So I speak that tape in my head. That's why I tell many of people, speak that tape. How did you get here? You didn't have the door open for you. You had to walk your way. So don't allow somebody to tell you today that you cannot make it. So that's what as world books. Imposter syndrome is real. I cannot claim that I don't have it today. I still have it. When I get to a room, I'm like, how did I get to this room? Yeah. These people look really smart. I don't know if I know what I'm talking about. So I start playing the tape. I'm here because I deserve to be here. I'm here because my voice need to be heard. This difference. And this is another reason why I wrote the memoir. I've gotten a lot of feedback from people who are different, like, different, diverse population, not only women, not only Black, not only African, even, diversity come from different shape and form. Thank you for telling story that have not been told in the media. Thank you for telling my story that I was ashamed to talk about this part of me, that I work in a fast food, or I was a blue collar before becoming here. I was ashamed that I came from Africa because of what the media portray Africa. I was like, people resonate with the fact that there are stories that are not being told. And there are so many of us, we all have a story out there. So that's another part of this memoir that people have really resonate. And I can hear another voice than the voice that we hear every day, right, in the public media.
So this is something that is really pinging for me, not just in this conversation, but many conversations you and I have had, is that you have clearly been your toughest critic. And you have clearly been your biggest cheerleader along the way. And at no point in any of our conversations around your story have you mentioned broader societal narratives impacting your trajectory. So some people might say, Marie-Ange, you're a minority, you're a woman, you're an immigrant coming to the United States. It must be so hard. Doing everything that you do. And there are no doubt elements of truth to that, but it doesn't sound like that's been your narrative.
No, No, it's not my narrative. I like that part. You touched that. I have two kids. You were asking me about my children. My oldest one is 10, and my oldest one is a girl, and my youngest one is a boy. Ian is 7, and I'm going to talk about Ian. Ian is very justice, fairness focused. When he fight with his sister, something happened in school, something he doesn't like, he will come and say, "Mommy, this is not fair. This is not fair." And my husband and I, over time, when he was young, he couldn't get it. I'm trying to teach life is not fair. I have already put it in his head. Don't wait that somebody is going to give you a baton to go and succeed. Don't wait for that. Yeah. You're going to have to fight your way. You're going to have to believe in yourself. Be your greatest belief. That's why I say, talk to yourself that I am smart. I deserve to be in this room and do the work. I'm not just saying, I'm just not saying just talk to yourself and don't do the work. Put the work in this, right? Yeah. You told me you have a gym, right? You've been a trainer. And if you want to be healthy, you put the work in the gym. If you want to be muscular, get the muscle. I'm doing CrossFit. I know that it takes work. Every morning I'm in my gym to be able to lift those crazy weights, do the push-up, do the pull-up. It's not easy, right? I have to be determined. I have to be disciplined. Waking up at 5 a.m., get to the gym by 6 a.m., right? Nobody will push me for that. It's me, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what I tell my kids today, especially Ian, that don't expect life will not be, you will have place, you think you deserve it, you don't get. So what do? Put yourself to work. Go back to the drawing board. What do I bring to the table? What are my competence? What are my contribution? What is my voice? Your unique voice. What is my unique value proposition, right? And bring it forward. If you fail today, keep on trying. You're gonna, keep on. Somebody maybe will notice your effort. So I really like that. No, I don't like handout. I don't like handout. Nothing. It's not even. I don't think it's something that if you haven't worked for something so hard, if somebody just hand you out a pass, I don't feel like it's so fulfilling. Compared that you've worked so hard and eventually you were able to break the barrier. You look back, you've learned something, right? You've learned something. Like even in athlete teams, right? I see the NBA, they work so hard during the championship, so many games. They haven't slept. They were sleeping in other bed. They were traveling. When you hold that trophy, you put the work. And it's the same thing I tell my kid and I tell myself and people I mentor. Don't expect somebody to write your narrative. You have to write your own narrative. And it's going to be a lot of challenge. You're going to be a lot of challenge. And it's okay. And you learn from that and you become a better individual, a better person after that.
I'm going to recommend that people listen to this interview while they're on a run. Because this will be the point where they hit the steps like Rocky, and they start sprinting up to the top of the staircase.
Yep.
So 2 things I'm pulling out from that. And probably if I listen back, there'll be a lot more. First thing is success leaves clues. Mm-hmm. So you said that when you get to that moment where you go, oh my goodness, what am I doing in here? Everyone here seems so smart. You then cue yourself to go, wait a second, look where you've come from. Mm-hmm. I led a presentation at the local university called When Molehills Were Once Mountains. And it was I pulled it out of my rear end. I had about 45 minutes to prepare, and I thought, thinking about, man, there were once these things that you and I can do on a Monday without even blinking. That once upon a time was like, how on earth am I going to overcome this?
Yep.
It could be a difficult conversation. It could be a conflict. It could be a task, whatever. But something that I do this with my coaching clients when they just say, oh, it's so hard, it's so hard, it's so hard. I go, well, tell me about the hard things you've done in your life. With mothers, I'll ask them, tell me about pregnancy.
Yep.
Tell me about giving birth. Tell me about, and then they go, holy moly, I'm a badass. I'm like, yes, you are.
Yep.
And so let's look at this now. Let's look at this challenge right in front of you. Is it really as big as you're making it out to be? And maybe it is big, but it's also the reminder of look at what you've climbed so far. This may be the biggest peak.
Yes.
This may be the biggest peak, but you have gotten millions of steps in scaling those mountains.
You got it.
And so try and come up with a reason why this is going to be any different than all the other mountains you've scaled in the past.
You got it.
And behind this one, going to be an even bigger one.
But you
right?
got
Because
it.
that's growth, that's progression. So that's the first thing that I'm pulling from that. And the second one is, I heard this in an interview recently, I really loved it, was that struggle and challenge or problems, they're not an injustice or an inconvenience. They're a feature of life. They're a feature of growth. That if you want to achieve anything worthwhile, like you said, if it's handed to you, it's not as worthwhile. That's why we see individuals who grow up from absolute horrific circumstances make it in the most impactful ways in however you define success. Yet we've got kids who have been born with a silver spoon and everything they could ever ask for, spend 30 years in and out of rehab.
You got it. You got
Right?
it. You
So
got it.
it's about recognizing that there is a toll to pay. There is a fee for success.
You got
and
it.
that it's not going to be worthwhile if you don't have to eat SHIT along the way.
You got it. 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 Yes. I totally agree. I don't have anything to add. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and so let me just tie a bow on this. You and I in our conversations, you've stressed the importance of merit, rewarding merit, and the distinction between sponsorship as opposed to handouts or presenting opportunities. So sponsorship over preferential treatment. What do you think leaders and organizations get wrong about representation, and what do you wish they understood better?
Thank you. I've heard a lot of narrative that, especially with the DEI, and I'm not trying to be political, right? That you are handing out something to maybe a specific group of people that they don't deserve. And I'm very conscious about that, being a minority, double minority many times, a black and a woman in a field that there are not many people that will look like me. And it
Tech.
actually,
I mean, you're in the tech space. It's like
technology. I'm in technology.
85% men.
You got it. You got it. Yeah. And because I'm such a perfectionist and I like good work to show myself, I feel like I work even sometimes more than my counterpart, my colleague, because I really, really want to have that perception that you are here at the table and you don't deserve to be at the table. I feel like I'm pushing myself, like push up, like you just giving the illustration of being an athlete, to be able to show, no, I deserve to have this promotion. I deserve to, be part of this meeting. I deserve to this. So what is the difference that I see, right? How can, your show is about your podcast, a lot of men out there who want to see how to help, maybe women who don't understand, maybe who have that different understanding of what does it look like to be more inclusive, to in that conversation, in the different point of view. I'm giving you my specific example. At Virginia Union, I put the work. I was working in the evening in a blue-collar job. During the day, I was working, putting the work in school, tutoring, even helping other friends. When I finish my work in the evening at midnight or 11 p.m., I do my homework. I put the work. I had a grade. And Dr. Madhu saw something. That's a mentor. That's an advocate. He said, this girl, we can't let her slide in. So if you are in a position of leadership, you see that somebody who is brilliant, somebody who is pushing forward, somebody who wants to make a difference. What are the resources you have? What can you do to mentor, to help, to advocate? It might not be a scholarship. It might be even just sitting down with the person. I see you. I care. If you have an idea where she might not even have any idea, how do I move forward? Because she's not in that room where the decisions are being made, where the big guy are making the decision. Be that voice who elevate that person.
Yeah.
I'm giving another example. When I was at Intel, my first job, when I finished my PhD in UC Berkeley, again as a trailblazer, a pioneer, not a lot of women, not a lot of black women in my field. My first was at Intel. I was part of a program called the Rotation Engineer Program, where you get to rotate. It was a very, very actually selected program because of my work at Berkeley. They saw my work. I was selected to that program. So you get to rotate the first year of your employment. You do different rotation. I did technical rotation, strategic planning, investment. My manager, Earth Tomati, was an amazing guy. We are still in touch today. And I want to give him a kudo if you listen to this podcast. He saw something in me because I had the technical background and I was so focused. I want to take a technical role to be able to continue to deep dive in the technical detail of the work. But he saw, Marie-Ange, you can actually drive strategy. You are a visionary. You know how to bring people together. You know how to do storytelling that many engineers don't know how to do. You can lead. I see you driving big organization. That's what I was 26 at the time. Yeah, I was young, finishing my engineer, my PhD, and then my first year, I was trying to stay in engineering. That's how I started going into product management. He opened the door. He saw something again, and he gave me that hint, Marie-Ange, I think you should move to more leadership strategy position with who I see. That's an example. Somebody who saw something and reach out. I didn't ask, right? That's 2 examples that I give you how you can help wherever you are, right? Look at a woman, look at a minority, somebody else, and knowing some of the challenge that I shared. This is just what I didn't even share all the challenge in the book. And how can I be an advocate? How can I be a mentor? How can I be even a father figure to be able to help instead of having the narrative that, they don't deserve to be there, right? That narrative, they don't deserve to be there. So that's some example that I feel like, as if you're in the majority role, you have sisters, you have colleague, you have daughters, you have look in your neighborhood. How can you promote, how can you encourage to have a diverse, more inclusive people who are different than you? And believe me, data have shown, and we have all this data, that a diverse group, diverse team, you see better results, perform better, right?
Way better. Yes.
But human nature always feel like and that's human nature. Psychology also, studies show you want to be like people who look like you, right? Who walk like you, who think like you. Yeah. That's human nature. So you have to kind of find that trade-off, that balance. Can I fight that human nature that people can disagree, but that's actually better for the group, to continue to build the better product, the better organization, right? You need diversity in everything. So that's some of the example I can give.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you've shared a lot about how the absence of your father, how it shaped your drive. And so what I'm putting together is that you were able to seek positive, healthy male role models. It was, you had your Dr. Madhu, you had this other individual who supported you. And so what do you say to, this is going to be a twofold question.
Yeah.
You already gave us some insights as to how we as men can support others in our lives, whatever the difference is, right? Recognizing that diversity does drive better performance, and that is proven up and down. There are no arguments here. Good luck trying to win that argument because we have enough data and science to prove that. What is your recommendation to women to seek out positive male role models? Like, how would you direct them to find those mentors and find those folks that can support them? I think the first ingredient, of course, as you said, is show that you're doing the work.
Yeah.
Like, I think a good mentorship tip is if you want a mentor, you have to already be halfway there.
You got it.
Towards the thing that you want. But what else is necessary?
Yeah. So the first definite ingredient, show that you do the work. And the second one, I'm a bold. You can ask. I've been asking along the way. And I know that people are busy, be respectful of people's time, but I've seen many people that I aspire to be like them, role model. Like there's one that comes to my mind, my VP at Yahoo was very instrumental. We are still in touch. Every time I have a challenge at work, he's been where I want to be. He's been in the industry longer than I sent him an email. Michael, can we meet? I want to chat with you about something. And he has been so gracious about his calendar. He will find time for me to be able to connect even for 30 minutes, 15 minutes, and I can have an agenda when you come. These are the questions, because especially at that level, those people are really, really busy, and I value the time. I show that I'm actually serious. This is the agenda. This is what this is what I expect from this meeting. And can you help me? So ask, be bold. Don't be afraid. Yeah. Out of maybe 10 people, maybe 9, 8 will say no, or they don't respond. That's okay. Yeah. That's okay. Find the next person that will respond. So show the work and ask.
Yeah. Shout out to Gregory Benedict, one of our most popular guests on the show. He says all the time, the universe rewards bold action.
Yeah.
And that's all I've known of you, Marie-Ange. I mean, you when I was learning more about your story and you're in my group and you found out I had a podcast, you were like,
can I come to your podcast?
And I was already thinking, I'm like, yeah, of course. We're having a hive mind moment at that time.
Yeah.
And so sticking with fatherhood, you've spoken of how much you appreciate your husband's approach to fatherhood and with your two children. What was, I think it's easy to say, you were able to achieve everything you did without him being there. But if you can channel, you're in a younger girl inside you, your little Marie-Ange, what was the need that was missing from a paternal figure that you're witnessing your children receive from your husband?
We are going to a therapy session. I had to go through therapy to deal with that because I didn't know that I had identity. My perfectionist or identity crisis, being a perfectionist, came from the father that I had. I always wanted to prove myself. I didn't know that. It's going through therapy, seeing my husband, how he loved and adore our children, spend time with them, take them biking, take them, he teach them everything. My 7-year-old know how to do an omelette. When I ask him, who taught you? Daddy taught me. And I ask him to do my way. He said, Daddy taught me this way. I'm going to do like that. So it just melt my heart. But what I've discovered during therapy is that I always have this need to prove myself everywhere I am, that I'm really good. I really deserve to be at the table. As I went deeper with the question that my therapist asked, it was because I didn't have a dad who tell me you are good, who tell me that I love you, who validate me, who sees me, who lift me up, who give me a hug when I'm crying. My mom she tried to be a mom and a dad, but there's stuff that women do, right? She wanted to raise me to be like a go-getter. She was like, you can, just go and do, because that's what she had to do. She had to
hold the masculine and the feminine at the same time. Yeah.
Yes. So I see my husband with my daughter. I see how he adore her. So it's okay. If she's doing fencing right now, competitive fencing, when she's like, you just give her a hug, you did amazing. Don't beat up yourself. Next game, you're going to do better. When she's also like, I feel like she has a perfectionist mindset. When she get a B, she start crying. Daddy said, no, you did amazing. You put all your best effort. And if your best effort today was B, learn from your mistake. Tomorrow, you're going to get an A. I see that with my husband and my daughter. I'm like, wow, I didn't have that.
Yeah.
I always felt like, no, B is not enough. I need to show next time that I can do A. And this drive, this perfection. Perfection is good because you are such a high achieving, but at the same time, I feel like there's an identity crisis. Why do I have to always prove myself? Why? And my also asked me that actually when we got married. I feel like, Maria, you always like to prove yourself. Why do you have to prove yourself? So that was interesting. Yeah.
There's this concept that I adopted, I don't know, probably 2016, 2017. And it was this, me being a nerd, I love Star Wars. And it was this idea of the light side and the dark side. So you have light side energy and dark side energy. And the way it was explained to me was light side energy is the pull towards a positive outcome. It's like, ooh, I really enjoy speaking on stage and I'm going to keep speaking on stage because I enjoy it. I love the impact. I love making people laugh and making them cry. And then the dark side energy is more, I'm going to prove them wrong. Or I'm going to show them. And it's like, I'm pissed off and I want to, and both have their place, but it's generally I find that, especially with some of my coaching clients, it often starts with a wound or a need that wasn't met at a young age that forms this narrative, whether conscious or unconscious. And so what I'm hearing you say, Marie-Ange, was that your narrative was, I want to prove to my father.
Yes.
Right. If I can get the A's.
Yes.
And not many people do. So how have you been able to set that aside so that it's less of a proving something to him, so that it's more proving something to yourself, or maybe even showing something to your children of what's possible or others? What's been that journey of transitioning that narrative, knowing that you may never get that need met from your father, but you can get it from yourself and from your husband and from your children?
I am still working in that. I'm work in progress. Therapy definitely helped to actually identify the root cause of my perfectionist and just proving myself. It definitely helped. And I find myself still falling in that trap. Sometimes I have to, since I know when it's coming, when you identify a problem, you can actually say, no, chill out. You did great.
Yeah.
I mean, if like, I'm giving an example, I did a executive presentation. I put the work together, the research to back up all the data, and maybe one person asked a question in the room where I don't have quite the clarity or the answer. In the past, I would beat up myself. How come you don't? You should know this, right? And I don't sleep, to be honest. I might not sleep to think about the question. Why you couldn't answer? Marie-Ange, relax. The sky is not falling. You told him you're going to, take the feedback and go and look for the data and follow up. That's the right thing to do. You don't have to have all the answer at the meeting. Yeah. So I am aware of that I'm going to go through that journey, and I start to talk to myself, relax, and just, you did good. Yeah. You actually did good. You did the work. You put the work to this presentation, and there was one question you couldn't answer. Just follow up. So that's an example.
Thank you for going there, because, I feel like it's so easy when I or listeners listen to someone like yourself and your story that, you've experienced remarkable success in your life and you've made that happen in your life. And it's so easy to get in the habit of like pedestaling people, putting them up on a pedestal. And, in doing so, what I'm doing when I do that is I'm creating separation from me and that human being and the ability to connect. And so it's on me as a viewer of the person on stage or in the interview or listening to a podcast to remind myself, hey, let's take them off the pedestal. But it helps when someone like yourself is able to say, and I'm still figuring it out. That narrative that helped me get here, maybe it doesn't serve me like it used to. But taking that same energy and reframing it like I'm figuring it out. I haven't got the answer, but I'm a work in progress reminds me, and I believe reminds the listeners to go, yes, okay, I'm a work in progress too. And we're all just fallible humans trying to figure it out and do the best we can as parents, as partners, as professionals, as citizens, whatever. So thank you for modeling that, Marie-Ange. It's just beautiful to see. And I highly recommend all of you listening, get your hands on for such a time as this. It's a wonderful read. It's a feel-good read, and it's a tearjerker at the same time. It really tugs on the heartstrings. And I believe, Marie-Ange, what you're doing by sharing your story is giving people the gift of going second. Because some folks don't have those role models. Some people may not have a mother like you had who would just do the work that was necessary to provide for her two daughters and give them a launching pad to go off. And, when you went to America, she shot that arrow and you were gone.
I was gone. I was on my own. No family member, no friends.
Right? And some folks don't have the parent that was there to prove that or show that. And so you are really, truly a gift. And
thank you.
How can folks follow you in your journey and find out more about you?
Yeah, thank you so much. Again, thank you for inviting me to your podcast. How do you follow me? I am on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn as a professional, and I post and I comment. My name is Marie-Ange. You can find me Marieange Eyoum, Eyoum. I'm the only one, so it's difficult to miss that. I'm actually the only. I think so. I've checked, so it's one of the way, and I post often, and I have the book there. You can also find me on. I do less and less Facebook and Twitter, but I'm also on Facebook and Twitter. Marie-Ange Eyoum, Eyoum. That's my middle name. You can also add my husband last name, Tagne. So Marie-Ange Eyoum Tagne. And the book right now is available on Amazon.com. Again, type For Such a Time as This. It's the first. I've received amazing feedback since the release 3 weeks ago. People from different gender, different race, different ethnicity, social background. They've been telling me this is an amazing story of determination, grit, faith, purpose, impact, and they resonate with different part of the story. So it's the first, I think it's the first right now in terms of if you do For Such a Time as this book will come out by Marie-Ange Itagnu. So
we're going to have all of that in the show notes. So we'll have your LinkedIn and all the other means in which they can get in touch with you to get their hands on the book or connect with you and share their stories. So Marie-Ange, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story and being a part of this conversation today. I'm going to say until next time.
Until next time.
But of course, the greatest thanks, of course, goes to you, the listeners who show up each and every week for this, the Mankind Podcast, the show where we break the molds of modern manhood to prove there is, in fact, more than one way to be a man, a sponsor, an ally. What do you say, Marie-Ange? Have we proven that today?
Yes, there's more than one way to be a man, to be an ally, and it was such a pleasure again to be part of this show. Thank you, Brandon, for inviting me.
Pleasure is all mine. And for you, the listeners, we will see you next week. This has been another episode of the Mankind Podcast, produced in association with the Mankind Project USA. We have been your host, Boyson Hodgson, and myself, Brandon Clift, and we want to thank our guests for joining us today and imparting their wisdom from their experiences in this amazing journey called life. If you want to find out more about today's guests and support them in their mission, you can find links to them in the show notes. Now, if you have found gold and insights that you believe could benefit your loved ones and those you care about, be sure to share it with them. And of course, we are always grateful for a rating and review of the show on iTunes. Now, above all else, we've got to thank you, the listener, because through your attention and your support, you have made it possible for us to let men all over the world know that they are not alone and that there is more than one way to be a man. And if something in this episode has touched you, then perhaps it is the call to action to get involved in men's work. With live trainings happening constantly and in-person trainings happening all over the world, the Mankind Project definitely has something for you. Now, if you've enjoyed the music in this episode and all of our episodes, be sure to check out Jim Donovan and the Sun King Warriors. I have links to them in the show notes. And lastly, just know, what it means to me to be a man is completely different than what it means for you. That is the beauty of this journey. So if you are looking for guidance, support, and community as you begin to unpack and dive deeper into your men's work journey, then you know where to find us. Same place, same time, next week. Lots of love. We'll see you then.
Hey, it's Boyson here with the Mankind Podcast. We are closing in on 100 5-star reviews of this podcast, and we have a goal. Brandon and I want to get to 250 5-star reviews. So help us out, will you? Please? Go to the Mankind Podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and leave us a review. Thank you. Hey, it's Boyson. On the Mankind Podcast, we've brought some incredible guests on to talk about the importance of doing the work to improve our mental and emotional health. And here's the truth. Multiple times over the last 25 years, I've had the help of one-on-one work with some amazing therapists. For me, for my wife, for both of us as adoptive parents, and for our kids. The Mankind Project and Men's Group, though awesome, are not a substitute for professional mental health support. And so I'm thrilled that the Mankind Podcast now has BetterHelp as a sponsor for the show. BetterHelp works online. It asks you what you're working on and then matches you for live one-on-one sessions with a licensed therapist, someone trained to work with you, listen, and offer helpful insights. I'm using BetterHelp. It's super easy, and I like what I'm getting. If getting one-on-one support in the comfort of your own space feels like a good direction for you, I invite you to check it out. Go to the link in the show notes or betterhelp.com/mankind. And if you sign up, you'll get 10% off your first month of therapy.